out my piece of paper. I can speak Croatian. I read the first sentence. The Croatian guy I spoke this to took his beer bottle, slammed it against the wall and held it to my neck. So because Marathi was the language of the family and they wanted to teach me English, they always said to me things like, Sunil, come here, ikde ye. So I grew up feeling that I live on an Indian railway platform where you hear everything in 3 languages.
Welcome to another episode of Baba's Balcony. Today is a great day. The weather is so great in Pune. And I'm joined with my very special guest today. I have Ajinkya, aka Big Lebowski, joining me today. And we have Mr. Sunil Ganu, sir. He's been a mentor. He's taught us language, especially English, as we could not converse very well back in the day and had a lot of hiccups doing so. Welcome to the episode, Sunil sir and Ajinkya. Good to
Thank you.
Connect after a couple of years.
It's good to see you, and it's also good to see that you have now suddenly become very respectable from the way you used to be back in college. But I guess we should not reveal too many secrets all at once. But people, hang on. You will come to know this Baba of yours a little better today. I promise you that.
I think we should not do this episode. But yeah, just to give you all a little introduction, you all know Ajinkya Lebowski. He's been doing the back ends of the camera and as part of the Baba's Balcony from a long time. He's back from Canada and he's here with us. It's been a while that he's been in the forefront of the camera.
Yeah.
And thank you. Soberly. And talking about Sunil Ganu sir. So Sunil Ganu sir is a language expert. He has 42 plus years of experience in French. And he excels in English, Marathi and French as a interpreter and the word is translator. So sir, just like India is such a diverse country with so many cultures, languages. How does one make of language and how important it is for us to speak in languages and to know more than one language?
First, the important thing is for people all over this country to understand that languages are important. They are as important as your mathematics and your physics and your chemistry and everything else. Unfortunately, over the years, when we had aspirational parents who want to give the best of the world to their children, they automatically assumed that if you studied the sciences and mathematics, then you would make something of yourself.
True.
And that is not at all true in today's world.
Completely.
Back in the day in 1975, when I told my parents that I wanted to study English, my father just completely stopped talking to me. And the man never spoke to me again as long as he lived. Because I had let Dr. Ganu down by trying to be something else. And well, I said, all right, then fine. To you too. And I continued. I got a BA in English, Sociology and Philosophy from Pune. Went to the US, got a master's in English, got a master's in French, started a PhD in French, but could not complete it because my mother passed away and I had to come back. So since then, I've been here teaching both languages to Indians.
Also to mention, sir, most people don't know, if I could, you're a trained classical dancer as well.
Yes, the classical dance was with me for a long, long time as an important part of my life until I had to start earning my own living. Unfortunately, at that time, we did not have any of these reality shows that are ruling the waves today.
True.
And so in those days, a boy, young man, trying to earn a living with dance was a little too difficult. And so I abandoned my dance a good 30 years ago now. But I keep in touch with my friends in dance. I write about dance. I watch performances. I write critiques. So let's say that I have support to my art form Kathak from the outside. But yes, it has been a very, very important part of my life.
So how difficult was it financially to learn language and art per se? Like right now in this era as well, art is so expensive to be taught. Like be it design, be it traditional art, getting into colleges. Was it the same back in the day?
Well, languages, you see, nobody gave a damn about.
True.
Nobody gave a damn about languages. So if you wanted to specialize in English, and if you were in this great city of Pune, you automatically went to Ferguson College or Wadia College, got a BA in that language, and if you so desired, you went on to do a master's, or then perhaps if you were really strange, you went on to do a PhD.
If I could, like my mother is a
There you
PhD and she's a doctorate, and she comes from a very small place, Saharanpur. Like we're from Nainital, Saharanpur, and she ended up studying art from Vidyapeeth, and she was a gold medalist. And she came to Pune to learn German from Max Muller, with her own self doing everything. And now she's a principal, but like I can so see the hard work and dedication just to learn a form of art, language, and how important it plays.
The thing is, now with globalization and things like that, people are awakening themselves to the idea that yes, languages are important. But the commercial angle that comes in when people are trying to, for example, get contracts from Europe. So look at it this way. I have seen this happen more times than I care to remember in Pune right now. You have a company, IT. They are prospecting for clients in France, Belgium, or in Canada. Right?
Yeah.
Out goes the work. Everybody learn French. So you suddenly have this company that will call you up and say, I need to train 2,000 people in French. How quickly can you do it?
What is
Because this is a dig at the HR people all over the country.
Just make rangoli, guys.
Yeah. They feel French ही तो सीखना है.
बिल्कुल.
क्या बड़ी बात है उसमें? बड़ी बात है. It has taken some French people all their lives to study French.
Yeah.
What makes you think that our Indian kids are going to learn the language overnight? But now French is the flavor of the month because they are prospecting for these jobs. One day they get a mail saying thank you but no thank you. Stop the French!
Yeah.
Because the idea behind learn the French was only to show the potential client that yes, everybody in our place speaks French.
Oui.
So then the French classes stop. And that brings out another danger. All those people in those French classes think, अभी तो मेरे को आ ही गया.
मैं तो रपट बोलता है फ्रेंच
अभी तो मैं क्लास करेगा. अभी तो मैं खुद का क्लास निकालेगा. लैंग्वेज इंस्टीट्यूट.
Tyagi's French Institute Corner.
And that is what it is. Now with COVID, blessing and disguise. Okay, so everybody sat at home. Nobody had any work to do. क्या है? चल फ्रेंच सीखते. फ्रेंच सीखते. क्यों तेरे घर में बैठ, मैं मेरे घर में बैठूं, टीचर कहीं और घर में बैठा है. ऑनलाइन पढ़ा यानी क्या किया? वो विंडो खोला जूम का. Next to it is Netflix. Next to it is whatever other X-rated channel you've been watching this month. Right?
Yeah.
Then you tell the language teacher, sir, I have a bad connection. If I turn my camera on, then I will be disconnected. So in the end, the poor French teacher or German teacher, whatever language teacher, has so many black rectangles in front of them with a name in each window. Right?
Does that happen to you though?
That I have lived with that since this damn COVID started.
That's crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So then what do? We have come up with one tactic. We pick them up and we put them in the waiting room.
Oh.
And sometimes the kid is not there really, is he?
No.
So he doesn't realize he's been put in the waiting room.
Hmm.
And then every 15 minutes, I take a snapshot of the waiting room
Oh wow. Are they still waiting?
to show that they are in the waiting room and not in my class. Again, black rectangles.
That's crazy. How lockdown really put all of us at halt.
Yes.
You know, and we couldn't speak. Generally, like socializing, there's a difference in talking when you're on the phone, and the difference when you speak when you see a person in front of you.
Yes.
I personally feel that. You know.
Yeah.
And so, how important do you think it is for the education system in India to bring forward the front foot of putting languages that you can choose to learn?
I think it is important because I have a very good friend who runs a translation agency right here in Pune, and he works very actively with translation agencies from all over the world practically now. He tells me that in the next 15 to 20 years, the requirement for translation in India is going to be not so much between European languages and English as it is today or has been until very recently. The bigger challenge is languages within India being translated from one to the other. Because you have Bengali, which needs to be done in Arya, and then the 3-4 South Indian languages, and Marathi and Gujarati and Hindi.
Yeah.
And the same goes for each one of these states to be translated into
smaller
one of those
dialects.
languages.
Yeah. And we have 22 regional languages.
We
right?
have so
28
many regional
or more.
languages.
Yeah.
We have more languages that are spoken on a regular basis. And all of those languages need to be translated from one into the others.
So why is it that English is still viewed, in languages as the ticket to economic prosperity and the social status?
There is a gentleman in the south of India. His last name is Tharoor.
Yeah.
You can ask him that question when he comes to your
Baba ki
balcony.
balcony.
But we have a colonial mindset. It's going to be your generation that is going to kill the colonial mindset and do something on your own. As we were saying the other day, this Chandrayaan business has brought this kind of awareness to us that we are also capable of doing something.
Yeah, indeed.
And so because of that, I think it's going to elevate our national pride, and we should be able to say that we can do it on our own.
Yeah. Most importantly.
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Agreed.
that is the takeoff point for other things to follow. 15 years ago, we did not believe we could do it. Now, perhaps we can. Why not?
True. You were in Canada as well, right?
Yeah.
What did you come across as like English speakers, French speakers? Saw a lot of Indians speaking Punjabi. Oh, kidda? Do gol, ek sidda.
Yeah, I never felt as if I left Delhi.
Really?
Where I was staying. But yeah, actually the French people over there, they have also, like in Quebec side or that side of Canada, they just speak French. There is no English boards or anything like that. So sometimes it's like a lesson that we can take also. Like we don't need to learn English sort of thing, like how Japan is doing. Like they are okay with their bad English, while we on our end, we criticize and look down.
Even with the
upon people.
accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if some person with a regional accent to his English, we are all continuously looking down on him while the thought has never been given the idea. So recently also in our friend circle or group circle, I have noticed that change where speaking good English is like not compulsory. You can speak it anyhow, and even I sometimes tell people like who say, "Hey man, I want to learn English like you," and things like that. I'm like entirely not necessary. Friends from MP and all, like your Hindi is there. Your Hindi is much better than Maharashtrian Hindi, which is already down. So yeah, that sort of we are trying to bring warmth in the fact that in not knowing English is fine.
How can we do like just a thought? So many states, so many languages. Is there a criteria we could form that, you know, like, okay, you're turning 22, where do you want to perceive yourself? Like, where do you see yourself in Bangalore? Do you want to learn languages prior you go there? You know, something could happen that, okay, I want to.
But then, Sahil, you would need to start that in school.
Yeah.
In order for that method to be effective, the kids would need to be maybe in the 8th standard when you give them a first choice to say, okay, pick one Indian language. We'll teach you that one Indian language for 3 years. At the end of those 3 years, we'll test you in that language and then we'll allow you to pick another language. And keep this on an ongoing basis. Why not? That way, when our kids come to graduation, right, instead of only imitating those poor Yanks, right? I mean, I have heard people develop American accents overnight without even going to Lonavala from here.
So have you heard of something that it's actually a disease or a, I don't know, I don't want to be rude about it, but there's a syndrome called the accent syndrome or something like that?
Oh yes.
Where people generally wake up one day and they're talking in a different accent. There's an Australian lady who starts talking in a Chinese accent and she cannot change it. That's how she is now forever.
Is that the one with the blunt for?
Yeah.
She wakes up with a Chinese accent.
And she just speaks like that the entire time.
I want to go to the washroom. She talks like that forever now.
Oh well, I know some people who lived here in Pune and got that then. It's contagious. We all better be careful.
But yeah, still funny. Oh man.
It's amazing.
So yeah, so coming down to languages, like I didn't have that, I had the opportunity to learn German a bit, but I don't think I was in the right mindset to learn. I think now I can learn more because I'm focused. Back then, if I look at my old math books also, I was like, I couldn't do it. Now I think it's possible, man. It was simple. I just did not give a fuck about it. What do you think? How hard it is for languages to be learned? Is it?
Well, technically everybody has said, the linguists that is, that the best age to pick up a language is between 3 and 7. So in that case, then आपने तो बहुत ज़्यादा देरी कर दी.
बहुत ज़्यादा.
But you can try it, why not? Because as you said, you are going to organize the material in your head a little better. You will be able to now, at this almost ripe old age of yours, be able to see connections between languages. Be able to see connections between languages that allow for these kind of acquisitions. That's one thing I would like to tell our audience this afternoon is that as Indians, you are truly blessed. And I'm not saying that in a nationalistic sense, please. I mean to say that anyone who grew up in an Indian city cannot be insular and say that I have only ever heard one language or spoken one language. Because you go to school, you're going to see a class full of people who speak a variety of languages. English has remained the unifying language, yes, but in the break, outside class, you have heard Marathi, you have heard Hindi, more Hindi now, of course. And you are used to the idea of processing these languages all at once.
Yeah.
Right? Other people are not so lucky.
Mm.
A Frenchman will have heard only French his entire life. Even they are starting to change now.
Yeah.
So monolingualism is not the great thing people thought it was, where you say at least you're good at one language. Yeah, but you're bad at everything else. As a result then, we as Indians can pick up almost by osmosis any language you can care to name. Plus, from a very young age, when we are taught the Devanāgarī Script, that gives us the biggest advantage over any other language group. Because we can hear the difference between ku and ku. We can hear the difference between pe and pai, and so on, because we are capable of taking one syllable, one sound, and using it in 12 separate ways.
Wow.
Nobody else in the world has that.
That's what did you say again? Not Dravidian. Was it
Devanāgarī.
Devanāgarī, right?
It is the one you use for Hindi, which I use
yeah.
for Marathi.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So what happens if I were to do a transcript of French in Devanāgarī,
Yeah.
and I were to hold that piece of paper in front of a person who has never heard French, spoken French, he will be able to read it out so that a native French person understands. I do this experiment every semester in the beginning French class. I write 2 sentences on the board in Devanāgarī. And I say, if you can read Devanāgarī, read what I have written. And they read it. And then when I tell them that this is what you just said in French, they're like, oh.
And that's the best way to get taught, right?
That's the best way to spark off interest in the language.
Because hearing also is easier now and trying to pronounce those
Yes.
words. Makes sense.
Plus, as you know, there are so many things we have hang-ups about that I have studied at Saint so-and-so.
Oh yeah.
What are you going to teach me English?
Well, I've gone through that with people in a lot of classes I've witnessed.
I enjoy those classes.
I know. Can we talk about those?
Sure, why not?
There's a very good example that I remember back in the day from.
Well, yes. I was teaching communications at a school, and we used to get students from all over the country. So it was a nice varied mix that we got in class for the first day of class in the first year. And by then the students had heard from outside the class that you will have English every year and it's this man who teaches it. So, as I just mentioned, not to be too snobbish about it, but all those people from the Saint X's and Saint Y's would look down their haughty noses at me and say, "ये क्या पढ़ाएगा? यहाँ से पढ़ के आए हैं, वहाँ से पढ़ के आए हैं." So in the first day, I used to get a lot of animosity in class. I could feel the vibes. It's a good thing I'm a Puneri by heart, so I was able to withstand all this nonsense. But what used to happen was there was a very unhealthy malaise in the class to say, we don't want to be here because we don't believe you can teach us anything. So I would explain to them that I was not there to teach them new English because they will already know it all.
Yeah.
But I was going to help them reorganize their English to make it effective. Which meant that they would learn to communicate better, they would learn to communicate in an organized fashion, make presentations, and generally be effective in their communications, because that's what my subject was called, communication studies, not English at all.
Yeah.
Then, in order to get some real fun in class, I would look at the one person who looked terrifically and absolutely, I'm trying so hard to be polite here.
It's okay, sir. You can send down a nice.
Then I was looking for the biggest asshole in the class.
Word.
Why is it?
Alright? And then I would say to him, it was usually a him. Alright, here's your topic. I want you to speak for 3 minutes 30 seconds on this topic with no preparation. Here's your topic. Size is important. Second best, the importance of premarital sex. And they couldn't speak for more than maybe 30 seconds.
And in my lingo, we say logo ke patte pack.
There is another expression in Marathi which is equally very images. It evokes things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I really. No, this is really a little. So, that was the best way to catch them out and say, see, you can't even speak for 27 seconds on the subject I have given you.
Those are good fun days.
Yes, those were great days.
Those were days to at least I know, okay, I'm looking forward for a good laugh today. I hope it's not me getting picked.
But as long as you showed enthusiasm and learned something in the class, we used to have great fun.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
And otherwise, I was very fond of saying that my middle name is Hitler. I look like a very friendly uncle. I'm not. So watch out.
Could you give the camera a stare, sir? When he has to, I think he's done theatre as well. So have you done theatre?
Yeah.
You have, right?
I have done theatre, but I got kicked out of theatre because of my high voice.
Is it so?
Yeah. And no less than the famous director of plays, Vijaya Mehta, had said this to me. She said, we need to do something about your voice because it's too high-pitched.
Could be a good soprano singer.
Well, I don't want to sing soprano because you know what needs to happen before men can sing soprano.
I have not heard of that. Oh. Grab them by the... Good fun, sir. I wanted to ask you, you also, what's the word, curated syllabuses and, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your entire syllabus that you studied in the 5 years in school was entirely my creation. It was adapting stuff for your main subject.
All right. So I was coming to this question that what is the current education system in India is like with language and just general the education system? What do you think? Where do we lack in terms of just people want to send out science, make out biochemists, scientists, like we were speaking about language and how important it is just on a daily basis for people to commute and how language is important.
The thing is, we have a lot of people in India with very good ideas on how the syllabi that we are working with currently can be made better. The problem is, if you were to think up a syllabus, there is such an archaic process to bring that syllabus into a university. That process takes, I think, a longer time than any human being can expect to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to give a proposal for a syllabus that I have built up, I would need to have done that work when I was 3 years old for it to come to a university near my place when I am 65.
Makes sense now what you're saying.
That's how long it takes for things to happen.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that there are some very August, September, and October institutions in this country, all made up of acronyms and others,
On points.
whose work is, I think I did this in class with you once. 2 words. First letter, 4. First word, 4 letters. Ends in a K.
Oh. You're playing like a rapid fire with me right now, and I'm thinking about questions to ask you.
No,
Dick.
you're on the right track. Second word, 3 letters. 2 L's.
All.
All.
Fuck all.
Who do all work?
True. Shit, so I want to really ask you now this question. What made you choose and specialize in French and language, like the love for language? How did that...
My love for languages has started when I was, I think, 2.5 or 3 years old. I was born in East Africa. My parents, they were a medical pair. My father was a surgeon, my mother was a gynecologist. My father worked then for the British government in Tanzania. And he was on posting in Tanzania when I was born there. Later, my parents decided to bring me up bilingually, speaking in Marathi and English equally at home. My father came up with this idea that if he listens to the language from a very young age, he will grow up speaking it. So, because Marathi was the language of the family and they wanted to teach me English, they always said to me things like, Sunil, come here, ikde ye. So I grew up feeling that I live on an Indian railway platform where you hear everything in 3 languages.
Also Mumbai also, hey, idhar aana.
So what happened then is that I started to think in English. And which is why I can today really claim absolutely that English is my mother tongue along with Marathi. As a matter of fact, if you gave me a 250-page book to read in Marathi, I would take much longer to read it than I would read a 250-page book in English or French.
That's true, actually.
Because these books I'll devour in one night.
Yeah.
The Marathi book will take me time. Simply because I have not spent too many hours reading anything in Marathi. My mistake.
Well, what are the 3 books you would recommend people and listeners to like read if they want to get into reading as well? Because I think reading is another topic that people generally don't make a good habit of and they don't know where to start. For people who don't read, comics is not reading generally. Like,
No.
okay, if you want to read.
Okay, I would say that for college students, the first book to start reading with is a book by John Fools. It's not spelled Fools. It is spelled Fowles, John Fools. His book, The French Lieutenant Woman, which was turned later into a film with Jeremy Irons and Meryl Streep. Watch it on Netflix. It's fascinating. Read the book too. Amazing how detail can be worked into a book and make a rich word picture for you to enjoy. I wrote my master's thesis on that book.
Oh, wow. And how different was the book than the movie? You just said it was beautifully presented.
The movie was spectacular because you saw it 70 mm and so on and so forth. But the book I thought was effective for those people who enjoy detail, as I said, and who like to come back to it.
what the movie could not show. Yeah.
For example, in a book you might have a description of a house. And you read the paragraph and you say, very good description. And then you read and 3 pages later you say, wait, I'm going to read that description again. Because it's really a good way, a good use of language.
True. And visually you'll just see the house and not even think about it. It'll just go, right?
But here you can imagine all that's said in the book.
It'll be even crazier if the house described is exactly how shown in the visual. That'll be epic. Like, I think we need to go back there and check it out again.
And also one element which you are not mentioning now because you are in your respectable mode is that the experience is so much richer if you have smoked.
Oh, of course. Those days have gone. I've stopped there.
I'm only repeating what people say.
So guys, try that out if you do. Please enjoy the movie and also read the book and light a spliff if you have to.
Yeah.
So how the actually 2 more books remaining. I mentioned give 3 out. 3 recommendations.
Okay. Then I'm going to say
We can always come back to it later if you want to.
I think we should because right now I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, this happens sometimes.
You know any good authors that use the language really well or something?
There's John Fools, there's the Australian. No, again, I have a memory loss these days which is stunning.
You're having it now? I think I have it like once a week. It happened to me once drinking Old Monk with this guy. I drank too much Old Monk because I don't drink Old Monk. And it's been a while I drank Old Monk. And I met these boys and I was sitting chilling with them. And I'm a guy who cannot sit and drink. If I'm out, I'll be standing, having my drink and chilling. I was sitting as a palti marki and all that. Old Monk ka bottle khatam, 2 bottle almost khatam. I got up, I was fine. Perfectly fine. I sat behind him on the scooty. He's like, I'll drop you home. I'm like, cool bro, let's go. I'm good. I think it's good time to get home. It's gonna be 10:30 or something. So we left. On the way, Old Monk and me. I jittered for like 4 seconds. I was like gone. I woke up 4 seconds later. I'm like, where the f am I? Whose scooty is this? I put my finger on his throat. I'm like, bro, I'll stab you. Take me home. Who are you? Who are you? And where am I? He drops me home. I get out the scooty. I'm like, yeah, Ajinkya. He's like, Baba, bipolar or what? And where's the knife? I'm like, what knife? And he's like, shit, I was scared, bro, that you had a knife on me. I'm like, bro, I just like conked out for 4 seconds. But yeah, memory loss happens. I don't drink Old Monk for that reason, bro.
No, my memory loss is more in terms of names and dates. Let me tell you people, forgetting your dates is scary.
You need to shout out to Chandni. She has a book with like numbers, names and birthdays and dates. She maintains it. And it's important. Especially when you miss dates and birthdays of loved ones and close ones.
Also, it's important when you can't remember all the dates you have had in your life.
Oh. All the dates you've had in your life.
All the sordid past that you will not reveal to anybody.
Only on podcasts. Because you have the right to censor or not. And to cut or not cut.
Right.
So what motivates you now to still continue your learning skills and developing them further?
Well, luckily I work in a field which will never grow old and which will never stop evolving. All fields are like that. But here with language, I get to read something new every single day of the week. I like to start preparing my classes these days at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. What time do you get up?
3:30.
What time do you sleep?
10 o'clock.
Man, discipline.
No, not discipline. Please, it's not discipline. It's
For the class?
majboori.
You heard it right.
It is majboori because 5.5 hours of sleep I find is now enough for me, and I wake up at 3:30, I'm fine. I start preparations at 5 o'clock from the net, and It's good.
Oh man, if I get up at like 3:30 and I sleep at 10, I wish I could sleep at 10.
But that takes a little doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think after lockdown, it kind of made it worse.
Because there was nothing to do.
And-
I mean, how many hours a day can you spend watching Netflix?
2 hours, 3 hours max, your neck starts hurting, your mind starts wobbling. If I watch, I cannot do it. I can watch one movie, and thanks to the cell phones we have now, while watching a movie, I'm doing something, put it back, I get one bookie on my head, like, hey, watch the movie now.
Yeah. No, but I can binge watch. I can binge watch up to 17, 18 hours a day of Netflix.
Really? What do you recommend? What have you been watching recently?
Right now, I am watching Downton Abbey on Prime, Amazon Prime, for the 6th time.
Really? Any new movies you've watched?
No,
No
not in
movies?
a long time. No.
Did anyone see Lal Chadda or whatever? It was a remake
Lal
of.
Singh
What was the
Chadda.
remake of? Apna
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
No,
I don't want to watch it.
saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. Forrest Gump was a good movie. I don't know how Amir Khan has.
For the past few days, I have been feeling a disconnect because I am not in touch with what is going on the scene, so to speak. I have no idea of any new movies
Yeah.
because there are some people I will simply not watch.
Yeah. Agreed.
And
There's a sheer amount of content that is only coming. It's very hard to catch up in the first place.
yes,
And if you want to be updated, what I feel is like if you want to come up with a point of view over a film, you need to watch it twice.
Yeah.
And the amount of sheer content, if you keep watching it twice, at one point, of course, you're going to fall behind.
Has
Yeah.
any one of you all seen Om Dar Badar?
Yeah, half. No.
Yeah.
It's
what is it? Series?
It's a movie. It's a very old movie. It was made as a college project, and a lot of Indian directors and people are inspired by that, and they say it's a movie on LSD. Like the movie is like a LSD trip.
Oh,
And Gangs of Wasseypur too. A lot of movies have taken inspiration from that.
I enjoyed the Gangs of Wasseypur.
So if you watch Om Dar Badar,
And wait.
you will love it.
Oh, this was a great experience in my teaching career. After watching Gangs of Wasseypur, the next year, I had a kid in class.
Saket Arya, shout out! हम गोली मार देंगे, ठे ठे ठे. We gave him a shout out on the first episode we did.
So as I was going around the class saying, finding out where people were from, he looked at me and he said Wasseypur. I was like, that Wasseypur?
He was a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said yes. I said, oh, you must tell me about it. I never met anyone from Wasseypur. Until then, I thought it was a fictional place. I had no idea that there really was a place called Wasseypur.
That guy never backed out from a fight. Huh? Even though he was not involved in the fight, he'll see me, he'll be there. कि किसको मारना है भाई बताओ. I'm like, relax, brother. And we're back. We're back with Mr. Sunil Ganu sir and Ajinkya aka Big Lebowski. We are today here talking about Mr. Sunil sir's journey and also how important language is as we are in this age of life where it's a mixed culture, everyone lives differently in different states from everywhere. We are so used to hearing different languages. We have people who are speaking in Marathi, mingling with people speaking in Gujarati, to having Tamilians, guys from Kerala, Punjab, and we are in such a mixed race, right? And it's such a beautiful time that everyone's, wanting to learn languages. So what makes a difference in a language specialist and a language learner?
Well, I think a language specialist remains a language learner for his entire life. At no point in your life are you going to be able to say that I know everything there is to know about any language in the world. They are evolving.
Mm-hmm.
The Marathi spoken today is not the Marathi that was spoken in Yaneshwar's time. One interesting project which I am mulling over in my head is to see or imagine and write and have people enact this, to see what would happen if Jnaneshwar and Lokmanya Tilak, for example, bumped into each other at Gujarat Chowk. And Tilak suggested to him, "Chalo zara cha piyo." What conversation would they have?
And how different was Marathi back then?
Oh, Marathi was quite different back then. Nobody can read what Jnaneshwar wrote. Although Jnaneshwari is supposed to be a distillation of the Bhagavad Gita, but to these people you cannot read and understand everything. The language was different so many hundreds of years ago. And that is what keeps happening, which is why translators survive.
Yeah. And so do you also have to catch up with the lingo that's happening right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a very interesting historical and sociological fact. Judging from the colloquial French that my colleagues speak in the city of Pune, all of them have been to France to study at different times. The colloquialisms that they use give me an indication as to how long back they were in France.
Interesting. Yeah.
And a parallel example is today in Pune, when you speak Marathi, there are certain expressions that we used to use when we were in school in the 1970s, which you don't hear today. For example, today's people, the kids who are growing up now, might say something like lafra.
Yeah.
In our time, they were not lafras, they were gochis. And they were feminine. Gochi zali. There was a play called Gochi, Sarva Gochi, exclamation mark, done in experimental Marathi theatre in Mumbai. And that Gochi, nobody knows what the word means. But Gochi came to signify today's matter or lafra.
Wow. So Abhi, we can still use it, eh?
I think even Gochi was there till my first, second standard.
There you go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So Sir's a Loyola boy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. What?
Yeah?
Loyola is cool.
Sir is a Loyola boy who is completely different from those who went from Loyola High School, they went to Ferguson College, then went to the IIT, went to the US, and have never come back.
That's half of my batch of Loyola.
There you go.
More than half of my batch.
That's
Like,
Oh, I must tell you this. When I went to the University of Cincinnati, there were some people from certain IITs from the north of India who believed that they could carry the grand old tradition of ragging from their campus near our nation's capital all the way to the United States.
Are you serious?
Yes, this was in 1985. So us juniors, as they like to call us, we were all rounded up one night after dinner and we were taken to a set of rooms. And we were asked what we were studying, where we came from, and so on and so forth. So until then it was all fine because they had not really laid down the law to say that this is a session of ragging. We just thought this is Desis from the last year getting to know the Desis from this year. So I was asked, what are you studying? I said, I've just finished a master's in English and I'm here to study for a master's in French. How is it going to help our country, do you think? So before I answer that, what are you studying? Aeronautical engineering. This was 1985. I said, so you plan to go back and take any one of the 1,000 aeronautical jobs that are waiting for you in India?
Ganta.
No, I want to work for Boeing. I said, will you be going to the Nasik branch of Boeing?
Or the Baramati one.
So then it started. Various parts of my mother's body were discussed in various Indian languages. And I told them, Teri maa ka, etc. I said, why? No. उसके पास एक ही है, वो उसी के पास रहने दो.
Bilkul.
So then I asked them, I said, look, you are not going to go back to the mother country. I am.
Yeah.
I said, hundreds of years from now, people from your alma mater back in the days will come to this country. They will come with no intention of ever going back. Who will have taught them English? People like me.
You! Shut up!
We did not know Barack Obama's expression of,
Drop the mic.
but I think I did that on their heads. I also stuffed a couple up, you know what.
Oh man, Ganu sir. But yeah, that was like Indians' experiences back in the day. Is this still the same? Like from colleges, they took it back to the US. That's crazy.
Some of them do. They have. It's a question of opening and widening your horizons.
But is it also like the matter how you've raised? Like, does it come into the picture?
I am sure it does. But there are some certain elements about us which unfortunately do not get changed, no matter how long they live abroad or live anywhere and whatever, they just don't show it. For example, at New York airport, I was talking to some crew from the Israeli airline El Al.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine had come to drop me off at JFK, and I was taking an Air India flight to Mumbai. And we met up with these El Al people. We were drinking coffee, and one of the El Al stewardesses asked me, she says, tell me, why is it that Indians fight to get on board that plane when they all have a boarding card in their hands that gives them the seat number?
This is still the question.
I said, okay, you work for El Al, the airline with the strictest security on the planet. Tell me, if your economy class in the 747 holds 280 passengers, how many blankets do you carry per flight? 280. How many pillows will you take? 280. This is it! Air India flight, 280 passengers, 280 seats, 100 pillows. These people are not fighting to get there first because they will win a prize, but because they will grab a pillow.
Shit, man. Makes sense now, bro. होटल जाके bro लोग ऐसा साबुन वाबुन सब
हब का रहता है ना, शैम्पू है मैं लेके.
That's crazy. Even the railways, bro. Those guys are like एक ही कंबल मिलेगा and they're like वापस दो. Shit. Scavenging max. But
Scaffing, because see, that this is Uh, in 1982, when I went to the US to study, I was astounded, right? Because at a movie theater, there is a line of people waiting for the ticket window to open. A new person comes, he will talk to someone who is number one or number two in the line, exchange pleasantries, and then walk back to the end of the line and stand there. How many of us back in the day when we used to go to movie theaters have looked at someone up there that we know and said,
We still do this here. Still.
yes,
Yeah. Bro.
mera bhi do, mera bhi do. Why?
Forget movie theaters in the plane. Boarding pass का line में like people are like, ये मेरा दोस्त है मैं आगे जा रहा है.
Cutting the queue.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, security check. Security check at any large airport in the country.
Yeah. It's crazy. Oh man. And I think most people lack patience right now.
We lack patience because we are all entitled fuckers.
Yeah. And you think we've become very intolerant now? As a
अब
whole
मेरा
bunch?
मुंह नहीं खुलवाओ.
बोलो हक से बोलो कैंसिल करना है तो करो.
No, really, I think the whole tolerance, intolerance business is getting out of hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We move on to something else than talking about this shit. Ajinkya, what do you gotta say, bro?
About intolerance or
No,
in
man,
general?
just general. What about your teacher you were talking about?
Oh yeah. In the break we were discussing Arjun sir. Arjun sir, if you're seeing me. He taught us editing at MIT Institute of Design, and he's one person or the first person whom I saw pick up languages like nobody. So he's from Bengal, and so he knows Bengali, then he knows Portuguese. I don't know how many languages, Hindi, English. Then he turns up in Maharashtra, and first few days he's like, yeah, I want to, learn Marathi and things like that. So in the first 7 days he's sort of nitpicking like few words here and there. On the 10th day I could see some fluency, and then I'm like, man, this guy will get a hold of his language within a month, and that will be his like 5th or 6th language, which I know of. I think ज़्यादा भी रह सकता है. So that's when I thought that learning 3 languages and can learning more than 3 will sort of give you a
Yes,
turn.
absolutely. And you know why that is? Because in our heads, we erect structures that help us store the grammar, the vocabulary, the this, the that, and the other. And if you are young, there is a large section called bad words in every language, right? Now, what happens is you have such a structure for every single language that you speak, and that is fine. What does it mean when we say acquiring another language, whether it's a language from abroad or another Indian language? What it means is you need to start building a separate tower for that language in your head, which after the age of 7 we do not like to do very easily. What do? We root our new language through English or through one other language we are already comfortable with. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens? If I were to hold up a pen and I say to you in my French class, what is this? The French word for a pen is stylo. But students will not accept stylo and grab it and associate it with the object pen. What do? They say, this is a pen, and pen is stylo in French. As a result, what happens? I'll show you a simple communication loop which perfectly illustrates why foreign language classes run out of students in the third or the fourth week of class. Alright? What happens is, I ask you a question. What time is it? Again, in the case of French. What time is it? Quelle heure est-il? So you translate. And you say, he's asking me what time it is. 4 p.m. Okay. Il est problem thai gayo. Why? Because they use the 24-hour clock in French. We don't. In English, 1600 hours. Wow! Problem thai gayo. Then it starts in class from the girls. Now what is 16, yeah? So somebody tells them. Il says, and then they come up with the answer. By which time the answer is no longer accurate because it is now 2 minutes past 4.
So how do you approach learning a new language then?
You eliminate the middleman.
Which is translated?
Be a Protestant, not a Roman Catholic. You don't need God in the middle.
Yeah.
You go from you to the language. Associate words with their names, so to speak, in that language. And start referring to them from there. Think laterally. I could be an MBA teacher after this. Think laterally. Right? Now, we are meeting for the first time in the morning, and I say to you, Bonjour, comment tu vas? Would I be asking you for your account number?
No.
Think. So it has to be about good morning, logical question afterwards, how are you? Not give me your phone number.
So,
Think.
Gesture.
very funny story. I have a friend, I won't take his name, but...
Go on.
No. So, it's very funny that, so he lives near Belgaum and he can speak Marathi. He can write Kannada but cannot speak. Whatever you say to him in Kannada, he can write it. But he cannot speak. And it was so fascinating for me that in Bangalore, he acted like a deaf and dumb person in front of the cops. So when the cops caught him, he would write in Kannada on a book and tell him, I can't. They let him go. Drunk drive, whatever scenes, bro. He'll not open his window. He'll open it a little bit. They'll speak in Kannada. He'll write on a book.
I can't speak.
Yeah, but he can write Kannada properly. But he can't speak. But he acted like he cannot speak for real. And he's still surviving that way. I'm like, Baba, salute. But how does that happen? That you cannot speak but you can write the language?
Well, if you never tried. I was fluent in Swahili when I was growing up in East Africa. My mother would take me to the market because I was the one who could interpret what the vegetable sellers were saying to her. And what she was saying to them in Marathi, I could explain to them in Swahili. And it all worked like this.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when I was about 7, we had a small accident in the house. I broke a vase that my mother liked very much. I broke the vase purely by accident.
Ghan tootyo.
Do I look like someone who would deliberately break a vase?
Back in the days, only broke hearts.
Well, you'll have to invite me for a whole season of this to talk about that. So anyway, back to my broken vase. My father came back home from the hospital that night. He had pulled double duty because his colleague was out of the village. It was a small village. So my father came back dead tired. And even as he was taking his shoes off at the door, as any good Maharashtrian man should, my mother went to him and she said, "You know what your son has gone and done?" And she told him that I had broken a vase. My father walked across the room in 3 long strides, and I'm sure he wanted to do it to her but couldn't, so he gave me one tight slap across my face. I am a Puneri. Nobody slaps me and expects to get away with it. So I looked at my father in the eyes and I started spouting fluent Swahili. And my father's face fell to the floor and cracked, much like the vase in the morning. Because in my fluent Swahili, I had told him that I was going to his mother, his grandmother, his sister, and
Savage as bro.
And you have left Pune, but Pune doesn't leave.
and all the ladies
I like that.
of his village in the main square and make him watch.
Did you hear what he said? When you leave Pune, but Pune doesn't leave you.
Now, wait. This is language.
Yeah.
I had heard every one of these words from my father's driver late at night when he used to be drunk, and he used to say all this to his wife.
That's crazy.
And I would be there listening to the man night after night after night. So what had I understood at my age? That when you get angry, you say blah 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 blah. I had no idea what the words meant.
Yeah. You've been programmed to hear that and like say it out.
Precisely programmed. My father had a high-level meeting with my mother that same night, and by morning they had decided to pack me off to Pune to stay with my grandmother.
That's crazy.
My father's argument was, ये बच्चा अभी मेरे मुंह ऐसे लगता है तो आगे बड़ा होके
क्या करेगा? Shit, man. That's savage, but. So how similar was Swahili and I've heard Sanskrit, Swahili, some words.
Totally separate.
Yeah, I thought like a lot of similarities.
Nothing.
Like dunya is called dunya in Swahili. Like the words which are.
Those are just coincidences that have perhaps come through Arabic. But you can't say that Sanskrit and Swahili have anything alike.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. But that was it. My stock of Swahili was rich.
Mm-hmm.
Except I had not been taught where I could say what. I did not know that these were things you did not say to your father when he was angry.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you still pick up any Swahili? Like, no? Shit, man. Imagine Ganu sir is still doing that in French to us and like we have no idea. Ganu sir, you want to add something? You want to share something or like say something?
Yeah, well,
important?
while we are on the subject of bad words, I usually like to hold at least one 30-minute class with my advanced students in which I give them interesting words that they should know if they ever go to France. Because it helps.
Yeah.
Can we have a few?
Yeah.
No, I better not.
Oh, you can. It'll be a masterclass.
But I remember way back when I started riding my little Luna on the streets of Pune, and people got in the way and got on my nerves. I'd cuss them out in French. And I can't tell you the number of times I have used when I'm in France.
Because they can't understand that shit there.
No, but it all depends on how you say it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll tell you what, and here you will appreciate the difference of not only knowing the language, but knowing when and how to use it.
Oh.
For example, in France, if you were to say, they understand from your tone.
Yeah.
But if you go to them and say, huh? Saket, na? You get to wear a blue border.
Oh shit, man. अभी से ऐसे ही गाली देने का ब्रो सबको किसी दूसरी लैंग्वेज में बट प्यार से
It works.
वही
But no, it doesn't always work. At a bar in Bordeaux years ago, we met some sailors who were from Croatia, the country. That time, Serbia and Croatia were one country. Serbia, Croatia. Okay? So, of course, language students, we asked them things like, how do you say, it's nice to meet you? They told us something. We had just learned the International Phonetic Alphabet, in which you can transcribe literally any language in the world based on the sounds. Each sound is given a symbol. So they said something. Wait, say that slowly. I pulled out a piece of paper. With a pen, I started writing down in IPA everything the man told me for the following 4 sentences. It's nice to meet you. Would you like to have a drink? It has been great meeting you. And please do come and visit us in followed by country. Nice enough conversation to have with someone when you meet in the bar or any other place for the first time? Yes. But exactly 4 months later, we met another bunch of Croatians. I pulled out my paper. I don't remember how many beers I was down, but I pulled out my piece of paper and said, I can speak Croatian. And it was in IP. I read it out. I read the first sentence, and the Croatian guy I spoke this to took his beer bottle, slammed it against the wall, and held it to my neck.
Holy shit. Bar brawls and all that.
I had just told him what I had told my father all those years ago.
Oh shit. Reverse uno.
What Indians do to foreigners all the time. There was a French exchange student who came to MIT. I taught him 3 guna lagan bharna padega. I taught him all of this.
Oh shit.
It was pretty much fun. Coming out of a white mouth is, I felt like doing that thing.
No, but like imagine he's outside, he's like talking to some local guy, he's like 3 guna lagan bharna padega. The guy smacks him across the face.
He asked me the meaning of it. What does 3 guna lagan bharna padega? I'm like, no, just say it to people. And then when people ask you, what all Indian languages, first is BC, MC, all of that. And then like he got intrigued with 3 guna lagan bharna padega. At high school, he sees it, and then everybody was like, what the fuck? So cool.
Banned for life. Shit, man.
So
Languages are
that
fun.
night I was this close to dying because of this drunken Croatian sailor, because that guy had given us shit.
Yeah, he was
The first
taking
guy, yeah.
frisky le raha tha wo, masti le raha tha wo. Like we karte.
It could have cost me my life.
Yeah, that's crazy though, man. You know, exactly the point of how important language is in life. You never know what comes out of you, what someone has said, but when you say it, you don't know the consequences because you can't learn or read or you don't know the language, right? End of the day.
Don't trust.
Yeah. Maths का equation same रहेगा bro, हर जगह. But language.
That's what makes languages interesting
Yeah.
instead of boring bloody maths.
True.
Sine theta plus cos theta plus all that nonsense.
Fuck,
Which was so
always-
useful, no? How
always
many
fail.
times have you used it in your life?
Never. इसकी माँ का आधा कैलकुलेशन तुम फोन पे करते कैलकुलेटर पे.
You are allowed calculators later on.
Yeah, but like bro, what's the point of doing all that shit, probability and all? You think I'm going gambling or what? रूले खेल रहा है क्या? Red आएगा, black आएगा.
And even if I go, I'm not going to come and tell you.
Why? That's crazy. Our cameras are dying today. It was so amazing having both you all here. Sunil sir is here, and I think we are going on, and this will never end. And it was amazing having you, sir. And this
Thank you.
is the first of many. And it was amazing having you here, guys. I will put sir's Insta handle, how to get in touch with him, Niche in the description. Thank you to Ajinkya for being here. He's also have to convince him to come here and speak a little. अपन लोग सोबरली बात नहीं करते ना इतना, मेरे को आदत हो गया है अभी, और लोग बोलते हैं बात भी ज़्यादा करता है वैसे भी. But thank you all for coming. Is there something you all want to end the conversation?
Going, I would like to learn one bad French word.
Yeah, I think we should do that. That should be our monthly words of
okay.
wisdom. Words of wisdom.
Alright, we'll start with a very mild one. Konar. C-O-N-N-A-R-D.
Konar.
Konar.
Chutya.
Oh.
Oh, Konar.
किधर से हो? कोनार. कोनार. ये सही है अभी bro. Thank you sir.
What?
I'll have to find a French man today to experiment this on. Joking. किससे सीखा? Description में.
Thank you.
But yeah, that was us. That was our time. This is Baba Ki Balcony. Amazing episode with Sunil sir and Ajinkya. We would be doing many more soon. Thank you for Moonshine for sponsoring us with the great meals. But today it's too early in the day and we're on a break for a good 1 month now.
1 hour.
1 hour. Konar.
Yes.
That was us. See you. Take care. Garnier. अपना ख्याल रखना because you're worth it. Sir, कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे?